his offense. A lot of movement, a lot of different angles he's given, but he has to punch and he has to land.
From an undefeated unified champ at lightweight to being on a two-fight skid, 2022 wasn't the best year for George Kambosos Jr., but the Aussie is looking to get back in the game, and we might have a potential bout in place. But does it make sense for him to fight right away? So far, the promoters from both sides are keeping it very close to their chest, but the rumors are that Kambosos Jr. will be taking on Maxi Hughes.
Champion of the world,
who's a championship-level boxer in the British scene.
Obviously, I'm thrilled to win. I was the underdog again, you know, not massively writ off, but just an underdog. You know, me and my team, we had the belief.
Now, it's wise for Kambosos Jr. to take this fight after going through back-to-back losses against Devin Haney.
and still the unified lightweight champion of the world.
He didn't get put out cold in those fights, but a loss can have an impact on a fighter's mindset. This bout makes sense because it'll give George a chance to not exactly have a tune-up fight per se. Instead, he can feel himself and see where he's at. I, for one, think that a fighter who loses 2 bouts after being on a 20-fight win streak should take some time off. But it's not like he accumulated a lot of damage in those fights. By now, he's probably all healed up and could easily start a training camp. Rumors are that the fight would take place sometime in the summer. As for the opposition, the guy he's fighting is not a bum. Hughes is as legit as they get. With 26 pro wins, Maxi has a lot more experience inside the ring than George does. He's also a southpaw, which would mean it's a totally different challenge than Haney. It seems like George's management team knows what they're doing. A fight like this is the best way to move on and forget about the previous defeat. But with all that said, where are we at with the negotiations? A potential bout between Kambosos Jr. and Hughes isn't just a rumor anymore. It's been reported that both parties have signed a contract to fight each other this year. The bout would take place in the summer, probably in June, but so far there hasn't been a fixed date or venue. Mike Coppinger from ESPN reported that they're planning to book the fight in Australia, which gives a hometown advantage to George. And since he's the star of the show, he'll be getting a big piece of the pie. I'm talking pay-per-view shares. However, this does raise a concern. The only time the former lightweight champion has lost in his career has been in Australia. Now, would it not have been better for the next fight to be a little more low-key, maybe even in the US? And it's not like the stakes are high. They could have been the co-main event as well. This would put a lot of pressure on George's shoulders. He's making a big comeback. We don't have a betting line yet, but it's safe to assume that he'll be a favorite going into the match. It all depends on where he's at mentally as this fight happens. Because, like I mentioned earlier, a loss can really change a fighter. But the Aussie took the loss as well as anyone. After losing his titles to Haney in June of last year, George, who was in front of his own people, gave a classy reaction and handled the loss like a pro. He said he wanted to fight the best and take on the best challenge available, and he wanted to give all the respect to his opponent for getting the nod.
It's been amazing, and even after the fight, even after another loss, you know, it is what it is. They're still there supporting, they still want photos and, you know, want to show the respect, and that's the heart of a warrior.
Now, the fight was close, and obviously in George's head, he'd done enough to win, but he wanted to handle the result with honor, and most importantly, he didn't want to ruin Haney's moment. The American was bursting with emotions and said it was a dream come true for him.
It was a hell of an experience. I'm happy that me and him accomplished it together. We've talked about this since we was 8, 9 years old, so this is a dream come true for the both of us.
George wanted to let him have the moment and said he wouldn't do the things Lopez did to him, which is a reference to his fight in November 2021, when he won a close decision and his opponent didn't take it very well. Lopez took the mic and said he should have won, and everyone knows that.
True champ, forget the rest. Yo. You got, hey, hell of a fighter, but I won tonight, man. Everybody know that. The referee raised my hand, I won tonight. I don't care what anybody says, yo, I won tonight.
George could have reacted the same way, and it would have helped build up their second fight, but he said he would change a few things in his strategy and get his rematch soon. In the press conference, Kambosos Jr. talked about having the old school mindset. Modern-day boxing has become all about protecting your record.
To protect records, I could have fought
easy fight, and look at me, I knock someone in 2 rounds. But I take the risk, and that's part of the risk. You take risk, you reap reward, but it was his night tonight.
But the best should fight the best, and that's what he did. And he did get his rematch, which didn't go too well either. The story of the first fight with Haney was the American's jab. He kept George at a distance and didn't let him get into the rhythm at all. In the post-fight, George acknowledged that his opponent had a smart game plan and didn't want to engage too much, but he'd be ready the next time.
Game, he likes to run and move, and if he feels that he's ahead on the scorecards, he'll do his thing, but I'm not going to take away from his night. I've been there before when
Unfortunately, he certainly gave it his all in the rematch and still came up short. In the post-fight press, he said Devin is one of the pound-for-pound best. As a competitor, he can't be happy with the loss, but he knew he gave it his all. George was also appreciative of Devin for agreeing to fight him twice in his territory. During the first fight, it was a big story, an American fighter going into enemy land and winning the title. George was proud of the 24 rounds they fought and wished nothing but the best to his opponent.
I'm proud of Devin, I'm proud that he came here twice, and, I wish him all the best in the future, and, we did 24 rounds together, so, all the best, and I hope he conquers for a long time,
His response was so classy that it turned a whole lot of fans towards him, and now people are even more excited to see him return. But with all the attention that the Aussie is bringing to the table, it would be a perfect opportunity for Maxi to come and steal the show.
Even after the fight, the support, the fans cheering me on, look, they're all here, and they're still here, so no matter what, the support is there. They're very proud of what I've achieved in boxing, and
The Brit has been looking really good in his last few outings. He's currently on a 7-fight win streak, with his last loss dating back to 2019. Since then, he's also been pretty active. Hughes has had 5 fights in the last 2 years, and the best indication of activity, perhaps even more significant than the number of fights, is the number of rounds. Hughes is not known for his knockout power. In 26 of his wins, he's only finished 5, and with a very low KO rate, he gets a lot of rounds in the bank. Now, you may think it's a negative, but it shows that he has the cardio for a championship bout. After his last win against Kid Galahad, people expected him to be matched up against a high-caliber opponent. Ryan Garcia was mentioned, but he's booked to fight Tank in a few weeks, so a fight with George is a perfect opportunity. Now, despite Maxi being the older guy, we know he's lost multiple times before and can bounce back from it easily. The same can't be said for the Aussie, so does George still want to compete? The next fight is a must-win for Kambosos Jr. No matter what you say, this is modern-day boxing, and your career would stop being relevant after 3 straight losses. But George thinks that he's refreshed now. After taking an appropriate amount of time to heal, he's ready to get back in there. He said in an interview that he's been pretty active and has fought some tough opponents, and his motivation is all there. He isn't satisfied with his career yet and wants to achieve a lot more before he calls it a day. The Aussie thinks that he's got a point to prove in his next fight, and he's coming in with the same mindset. He'll be looking to make a statement to the next guy who stands across the ring from him. His loss was a learning experience for him, and he wants to show how much better he's gotten. Let me tell you one thing, if both guys are in a good headspace, we're in for a war. And that's all we have on the potential fight between George Kambosos Jr. and Maxi Hughes.